What is going on? I'm gonna let this go for a little bit because I didn't do a countdown. I mean, it's the last episode, so there's really no point of me doing a countdown. So I'm just gonna sit here and talk a little bit as people start to come in. Um, I hope everyone has had a good weekend. So crazy Monday night football, was it not? I was I thought Kansas City would win, but of course the Eagles is going to eagle. So I'm not exactly a Eagles hater. It's just the fact that they have struggled with these wins, and their win-loss record comes with struggles. And I thought that Kansas City was going to shut it down, but Taylor Swift wasn't at the game, so there's that. Just sucked. I'm just tweeting out to just tweeting out for people to come in. Um, yeah, that was a crazy game. I was like in and out of the game. I was watching on the Manning cast. I love watching football on the Manning cast. You could tell Peyton Manning just loves to talk football. Like he probably will talk your ear off with as much football as you would get. Um, What's going on, Justin? Just in time because he's just in time. What's up, Queen Jaydee? What's going on? And what's up, Drunken Dragon? Yo, JD. Um, yeah. The Cowboys won, which is a good thing. But it was against the Panthers. Nothing against the Panthers fans, but oh man. Bryce Young is such a little baby. Oh my gosh. He's like my height. He's just like my height, and he's just so little, and I root for him. I root for him, but maybe in a couple of years. He has promise, but he's I don't know. He's so small. He is so small. But yeah, I didn't expect the Eagles to come out and win it the way that they did. It's just slightly frustrating because it's going to get into people's heads that oh my gosh, the Eagles are unstoppable. I don't want them to go like with just one loss for the whole season. That'll make me upset. But the sadness is kicking in. Oh, KGB. What once Jade debuts in WWE, then we'll all be happy. But like I said, I'll still be around. I'll still be around. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be in the Facebook chat and everything like that. So I won't be completely gone. Um, just you won't see me, weekly with the live stream stuff like that. But I might pop in, do something, or I may even hop on Twitch here and there and do some talking or something like that. But you never know. Be sure to follow. For people who haven't, be sure to follow on I was on the X Twitter at GDC137. I'll still be giving my pointers of talking about wrestling stuff like that. We got Survivor Series coming up. I'll be talking about Full Gear, which was a crazy pay-per-view. I'll give some slight predictions for Survivor Series. Um, there's only 5 matches announced so far. Looks like we still have the whoever Shinsuke Nakamura is talking about. Everybody thinks it's CM Punk. That'll be crazy as hell if it's CM Punk. In my opinion, WWE really don't need CM Punk, because they already have enough people on their roster that they also need to pay attention to. And adding CM Punk will put pressure on booking CM Punk to a certain level. Like, you can't bring in CM Punk and have CM Punk in the mid card. That's not gonna work. Unless you throw him in like a tag team or something like that. Because his presence demands a title shot, truthfully. I mean, it's kind of like with Cody Rhodes. His popularity and everything, they immediately put him towards a title shot. I mean, they gave him feuds for him to start out with and things like that, but eventually, just like we saw in AEW, CM Punk is going to want that title shot and that title reign. So it'll be completely crazy. I mean, time heals everything, but I don't know. Just like how I felt with Cody, the way that he felt about WWE and the way that he left, um, you know, I'm a little bit more understanding of him forgiving, but with CM Punk, like, they fired you on your wedding day, and it was Triple H that sent the papers to fire you. I can see with Vince because Bret Hart was able to forgive Vince, but that was like years down the road and everything like that. CM Punk still holds a grudge against Colt Cabana for what he did. So I'm like, I find it very hard to believe that everything will be okay and that nobody, like, we're not going to get a Bret screwed Bret situation. Not saying this because I'm not a Punk fan, but I genuinely don't believe Punk shows up Saturday. I don't believe it either. I think seriously, CM Punk just needs to take a chill pill. Like, there really isn't. WWE don't need CM Punk. CM Punk needs WWE. If he is trying to do something, if he wants to, elevate himself past, doing commentary for UFC, he needs WWE, but WWE don't need him. They already have enough people on their roster that are demanding the attention. I mean, they got LA Knight, they got Cody Rhodes, they got the Usos, they got Gunther. They have a lot of people going that, and they about to have Randy Orton come back too. They have a lot of people that demands, the title picture. They really don't need CM Punk. AEW needed CM Punk to kick things up to another level. They were doing good, truthfully, they were doing good before CM Punk. CM Punk got a lot of eyes on the product, but what he did, allegedly, what he did behind the scenes was not worth what he brought to the table. And I don't know. This will be the second company. CM Punk has already been in 2 companies and has left on bad terms. So, I can see him going to Impact because Impact needs the help. Um, NWA, maybe, but yeah, I could see him going to probably Impact because Impact could definitely use CM Punk. Um, but I don't think WWE don't need him. What is the point of signing him and bringing him on? To get more viewers? To add another feud? Like, it really don't make sense, for him to go on to WWE, but, you know, if he shows up because people are thinking it's him because it's, Survivor Series in Chicago and everything like that, but I really don't see it happening. I didn't start watching AEW till Punk came in. Yeah, it's messed up what he did, but I blame everyone in the situation from the Bucks, Kenny, and Hangman. Yeah, when the whole situation with the fight with the Young Bucks and Kenny happened, I blame both sides. I said, "Listen, if it was any other company, the employee would be fired because you can't put your hands on management. But management gotta be reprimanded for, getting into a fight um, with the employee." The issue with the Bucks and Kenny and with the Bucks and Kenny is that they are EVPs on paper. They don't really act like EVPs. It really feels as though Cody, they all decided to start the company, and the Bucks and Kenny was like, "Okay, we'll jump in and be EVPs." Like, they were more interested in being the wrestlers versus being EVPs and leaders of the locker room and stuff like that. And you can't really be You can't really be both, truthfully. But you can't be the friend and the boss. And that's kind of what you can't be one of the boys and the boss. And that's kind of like what I get from the Bucks and Kenny Omega. So I felt as though like I knew the Bucks and Kenny were not going to get reprimanded because, they're EVPs. Usually with corporate America, whenever a vice president or someone corporate does something wrong, it gets swept under the rug and it's the employee that really gets into trouble. My big thing with, Punk with that situation was he coulda went about things a different way. You're in a losing situation of you getting into a fight with the vice presidents and feeling like the owner is gonna be on your side, because that rarely happens where the owner chooses the employee over the vice presidents and stuff like that. And then the situation with Jungle Boy, I was confused about that because I'm like, okay, he said something on camera about the glass. Like, why take it up a notch? Like, and it feels though like we're not in high school. We're all adults here. CM Punk is old, he's been around the block a couple of times. You know that if you sit there and enter into another fight, that's another lose situation for you. I feel like if Cody was still in AEW, he would have held everything together. It's been a cluster since he left. Yeah, that's because they're missing a leader in the locker room. Like I said, the Bucks and Kenny, they want to be one of the boys, not exactly a leader. Jericho could be a leader, but he said he don't even want to be a leader. They're missing a leader in that they're missing a leader and like some type of stability in the locker room. Tony Khan can't be everywhere. He can't be, in Gorilla booking the show and taking care of what's going on in the locker room. He needs people put in place. Just Sign said, no active competitor should be management is just super shady. That's true. Yep, that is true. I mean, we kind of had that with we kind of had that in WWE where we had we had Shane, we had, Stephanie McMahon, even Vince McMahon and everything like that, getting into, competing and stuff like that, because you could easily book yourself to be champion. KGB said Jack Perry was being petty, but then again, Punk should have kept his cool. He really should have. That was my big issue with the Jack Perry thing. I'm like, he should have kept his cool. If like, he should seen the fact that after what he had went through with WWE, you really should see the writing on the wall that with people, with companies, people get clicky. Like, he should have seen the writing on the wall, like, "Okay, Jack Perry is cool with the Bucks and them. He has a problem with me. Why am I going to sit there and start more shit with Jack Perry knowing that it's gonna be a lose-lose situation with me?" Like, after everything that you went through with Vince McMahon and, the Yes Guys and Triple H and all them, you see how clicky they are. The the owner with his they weren't really vice presidents, but with people in power, you really went through the same exact thing, and I feel as though he shoulda went through it a different way. I mean, there unlike Vince McMahon, Tony Khan technically has someone above him, and that's his dad. Like, you coulda asked for a sit down, well, probably can't get a sit down with his dad, but you coulda asked for a sit down with Tony Khan. Maybe not the Bucks. I think Kenny was willing to do the sit down, but, the Bucks convinced him not to do it or something like that, or Punk wanted everyone to sit down, but you coulda went through it a different way. What's going on, Floor Slapper Sports? JD, what's good? Thank you for tuning in. Uh, Nick says, "As one door closes, another opens. Working with you was so much fun. So thankful for all the work you put in the networks. See you on the other side. Keep it real, homie." Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you. Thank you for everything. And for those who aren't affiliated, be sure to check out Floor Slapper Sports Universal Wrestling Podcast on the Sidelines podcast as well. Um, just the time, what's the name of your podcast? Completely forgot. Check out on the Sidelines podcast as well, KGB and everything. But thank everyone for all that has happened. Like I said, I'm not sad about it. Um, and I'll get into everything now since it's been 15 minutes past. But The reason why this is how Wrestlebread started, because I haven't talked about this probably since the first episode. But I originally had another show called The Kickout Show, and it was more comedy. It was like, if you ever watch Botchamania, at the end, he showed clips of, like, funny clips that was featured like The Simpsons, and they'll insert something wrestling-wise. That's what The Kickout Show was. It was a YouTube channel where I created, like, funny clips. I think the YouTube channel is still up. And I created, like, for example, I created like an infomercial about Dolph Ziggler selling, like, if you need someone to sell your moves, call Dolph Ziggler and stuff like that. I created like a Power Rangers version for WWE. What else I did? It was like maybe 5 episodes on it, but it was taking so long to, like, put clips together, stuff like that on a weekly basis. I think I was in school at the time, and I was working full time, and I was a mom, so it was just, like, too much for me to really keep up with. And I had it that I like, the next episode had to been done within the week. So I got burned out and I stopped. I had the thought of doing a podcast. I during the time of the Kickout Show, I was, on, uh oh my gosh, the Wrestling Court podcast. I was like a reoccurring, guest with, Julian and them. Shout out to Julian. And I had the thought of starting a podcast, but I had changed my mind. And the Hubs was the one who actually convinced me to do the podcast. True story. He did a cameo with Ryback. I know people aren't really cool with Ryback, but shout out to Ryback. Because he did a cameo. I think it was a cameo or something with Ryback. And he posed as me at telling Ryback, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Do you have any advice for me?" And you know how cameos, like, I think it's like 1 or 2 minutes. Ryback actually talked, like, for a good 5 minutes of giving, like, very thoughtful advice, which shout out to Ryback for that, because he really didn't have to do that. And, AEW was starting, that's AEW was announced, and they had was gonna have their first, Double or Nothing in May. And so a thought came about the podcast, and the Hubs felt as though I should do the podcast. The reason why I started, the podcast was really to talk about wrestling, to have a platform to talk about wrestling. I don't really know anyone in my life that is as passionate about wrestling as me, that watches it every week, can talk about it and everything like that. The Hubs is a wrestling fan. He was a big fan back in the Ruthless Aggression era, but he don't really watch it that much. He was the one that made me feel comfortable enough to get back into it, because I was watching it, but I stopped really watching it for years. I kept up with storyline stuff like that, and I would tune in to WrestleMania and everything like that. Maybe some pay-per-views here and there, some Raws and SmackDown, but I wasn't consistent with it. I wasn't going to shows or anything like that. And he made me feel comfortable enough to really just be who, as you see my girl cat Oreo just jumped up. For me to be comfortable with what I like. That, hey, if you're a wrestling fan, watch wrestling. It's okay. So that's when I decided to do a podcast. And I was trying to come up with different names. I had a name in my head for I had a lot of names in my head for a podcast, but you know how if you ever tried to start a podcast, every single name that you thought of, it's already out there. So I had like at least 5 names of a podcast of what I wanted the podcast to be, and they were all either taken or there was a podcast out there with a very similar name to what I was thinking of, and I didn't want to get any confusion or anything like that. So I eventually came across Wrestlebread. So I was like, that's not it like, I wish I had, like, a very unique story as to why I came up with Wrestlebread, but There really isn't, like, a unique story. I thought of bread like, serving bread, I'm serving, like, wrestling news and opinion. That's how I, like, thought of it, because I wanted the word "wrestle" in it so people could understand what the podcast was all about, and I was like, I put Wrestlebread together. Came up with a little mascot and everything like that. Got started, uh, actually, the first episode was the week after WrestleMania, if I remember correctly, back in 2019, and I wanted to concentrate on WWE and AEW. So, talked about and everything like that. It was audio first. I did like a video live stream maybe for like the anniversaries and stuff like that. But I really kept it audio and started to um I was introduced to another podcast, the Keita and Jay show, and Chris from We Talk Next podcast. I was featured on their podcast a lot. And then that's when I started to network with a lot of other podcasts and things like that. And I started to do that's when I started to do consistent live streams. And the reason why I really wanted to do a podcast was to create a community, a safe space for people to be able to talk about wrestling, you know, because it's not that often that you'll bump into other people in real life who as passionate about wrestling as you, can watch wrestling, every single week, whether they put on a good show or not, and it can talk about it. Like, as you see with my episodes, I can easily talk for 2 hours about wrestling, can easily talk, break down storylines and stuff like that, recall things that happened, back in the Attitude Era and stuff like that. And I just wanted to create the same space for other people, you know, for people to listen to, debate me, agree with me, or anything like that, come with um, their unique opinions about wrestling and everything like that. And that's what I really wanted with WrestleBread. I wasn't really looking to make money with the podcast. I wasn't looking to like use it to become friends with Tony Khan or Vince McMahon or anything like that. It was really to just talk to other people about wrestling. And it really introduced me to a lot of awesome people, that talk about wrestling. They have their favorites, and everything like that. And, did a lot of watch alongs and everything like that, and it was a lot of fun. And, um, there are times where I, like, took a hiatus, especially, after my grandmom had passed. I think I took, like, 2 months off or something like that. And it's not that, I'm not tired of the podcast or anything like that. Um, it's been on ending Bread has been on my mind for a while. Um, it's been on my mind for a couple of months actually, to be honest. And because I don't want to stop the podcast. Um, I didn't want to stop the podcast, when I'm tired of it, or anything like that. Uh, I wanted to stop it on like a high note or anything like that. I didn't want it to stop it when, I'm at like with one person listening or anything like that. But it was on my mind heavily for like the past week, and I felt as though it's a good time to, stop it. Not saying that, I'm not gonna disappear, forever. I'm not gonna be wiped off the face of the earth or anything like that. I'll be still active on social media and stuff like that, giving my opinion, still being the president of the Cody Rhodes Hater Show. So what's going on, great? And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope your show was good. I saw that it was, on a little bit earlier. Be sure to check out the director's cut with Graydon. He has some awesome takes with, movies and shows and stuff like that, so be sure to, check that out. I think you were talking about Thanksgiving. The new movie that's coming out Thanksgiving, was that tonight's, topic, I believe it was Thanksgiving, which it looked Thanksgiving looks pretty interesting. I mean, the horror industry is coming up with some very interesting topics because I know that there is we had Winnie the Pooh and everything like that. We had now we got Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, it's Krampus or something like that. I forgot how it's pronounced, but I think that was your topic. What's going on, Dylan from the World Elite Podcast? And if you are a Saints fan, check out the Dome Field Advantage podcast. Even if you're not a Saints fan, you can go check out the podcast as well. Yes, Thanksgiving was talked about tonight. Cool. Yeah, I've been seeing the commercials with that, so it looked pretty cool. The movie, it don't look like, Oscar worthy or anything like that. It looks like the typical slasher that, definitely would, check out. Out is it on, I don't know if it's streaming or is that or if it was movie theater. I think it's streaming. I don't think it's in the movie theater or anything like that. What's going on, Graydon from Cageman IQ? Be sure to check that out if you are looking into, the bet slips and stuff like that. I'm not doing the Saints show anymore. LOL, but thanks for the shout out nevertheless. Okay, so you're just doing straight World Elite podcast. So be sure to check out World Elite podcast. Um, but what I was saying was the reason why I had started Wrestlebread was to create a community and to kind of like have an outlet for me to talk about wrestling with people who like to talk about wrestling and listen to people talk about wrestling and stuff like that. Um, and like I had said, I was thinking about stopping the podcast for a couple of months. And for like the past week, really thought about it and felt as though it was the perfect time to end the podcast. Like I said, I'm not going to disappear off the earth or anything like that. I'll still be on social media. I'll be talking about Survivor Series when that goes on and everything like that. You wanted to talk about Kobe's adversity, Mr. Adversity. Oh my gosh, he was killing me. Like, I get it. He's becoming the John Cena. And like I said, I can't wait for the John Cena effect to wear off. I didn't like the way that Randy Orton was introduced. Like, how come you couldn't do the Shinsuke Nakamura and said, "We found our fifth person. You will find out who it is at Survivor Series." Why? And then he didn't even name drop Randy Orton. He gave hints of Randy Orton. And I'm like, how come Randy Orton didn't come out? You know, we could have had a segment of him going to Randy Orton's house or something like that, and then you see Randy Orton open the door. Like, how come we can't bring back the little segments that we used to get? He could have went to Randy Orton's house or something like that. He could have went to his house, knock on the door, and you don't see Randy Orton, but you see someone open the door, and he says, "We need to talk," and then let it be said that someone, their fifth member will show up at Survivor Series. I don't get why we name drop him on Raw. Uh, okay, it is in theaters now. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was theaters or if they were doing like Five Nights at Freddy where it's theaters and it's streaming. Okay. Cody versus Orton at Mania now. The story will never end. That's your prediction, Dan. That Cody Rhodes will never get his title shot. I need heel Cody. Yeah. I want heel Cody. I've been wanting not Cody doesn't have to be like 100% heel. Like, he doesn't have to turn Roman Reigns. He could be the delusional baby face, very similar to what the New Day were when they first started out. They weren't faces. They were delusional baby faces. Like, they felt as though like they were loved by everyone. And then it just started to click. That's all he needed to be in AEW. Bully Ray had a take about Cody, and he felt as he like is so upset about the AEW fans. He felt as though that the AEW fans drove Cody Rhodes out. I was 2 seconds away from doing a response on TikTok about it because I'm like, the fans were booing Cody Rhodes because they wanted Cody Rhodes to turn heel because the whole underdog John Cena thing doesn't work like that in AEW. It slightly works for MJF because MJF is still a heel, he'll do heel tactics and stuff like that. Um, his thing at Full Gear annoyed me too, and I'll get into that. But all Cody needed to do was be a delusional babyface. He could have been a Homelander, and everything would have been right with the world. It's just the fact that he just overdo it with the underdog thing that it gets tiring after a while. If they didn't name drop him, everyone would have thought it was Punk. That's true, but they coulda had him show up at Raw or something like that. You coulda hit his music and have him, like, come out in street clothes and just stand there. I didn't like the way that they announced him. Heel Cody woulda had the GM give him the title, and he would be like, "My story is complete." Right? The way they announced Randy feels like it was done to distract the Chicago crowd from hijacking the show. They'll hijack the show anyway, though. Bad people can cry. They would have hijacked the show anyway. I mean, they would have hijacked the show anyway because that Shinsuke Nakamura thing. Like, they're not naming who he's going against, and Chicago's gonna hijack anyway. I mean, Chicago's been trying to hijack this show for years after CM Punk left, until, CM Punk showed up in AEW, and then Chicago stopped hijacking. But Chicago's gonna hijack the show anyway because of Shinsuke Nakamura, unless they announce on, SmackDown. Well, we'll see what happens on SmackDown. They might hijack SmackDown. Um for all we know. But let me get into Full Gear. Yeah, I'll get no, actually, since we're talking about Survivor Series, let's get into Survivor Series predictions. It's only like 5 matches so far that was announced. They really didn't announce they didn't announce the actual match with Nakamura. This Nakamura thing better not end with the hatch egg. I know, right? Like, they really need to figure out, like, a lot of people keep thinking it's CM Punk, and that's how Chicago's gonna try to hijack the show because they have this whole thing with Nakamura, and I'm guessing they're gonna announce this match with Nakamura. I didn't watch all of Raw yesterday, so I don't know if they announced with Nakamura if, um if he's gonna have a match at Survivor Series or if this is gonna be a Raw after Survivor Series thing. I don't know. Let me get into my predictions as we, keep talking about CM Punk. So we have Carlito going against Santos Escobar. Santos, of course, um, made the heel turn that everybody's been waiting for. I love Santos. I love, Legado del Fantasma when they were heels. They, of course, went face because everyone loved them, but I was waiting for Santos to turn heel so he could be on his nose, so we could really see the Santos from, NXT. Uh, could be a call-up maybe. It could be a call-up, but if it is a call-up, I don't know why they would have Shinsuke Nakamura, like, sit there and say, "You know who you are, and I'll see you," and Um, of course, he started doing the, GTS. They're making references about CM Punk. More wrestlers are talking about CM Punk more too. So it's like, y'all really are giving them vibes, man. They're not being settled that it could be, CM Punk. I'm sure Dom Dom likes Santos now. I know, right? I like Santos right now. Um, I don't know. I think this could be a good match. I don't think this match is gonna last that long, truthfully. Because I this is the first is this the first singles match for Carlito? Didn't Carlito wrestle on, SmackDown on his own, I think, recently? Or am I thinking incorrectly? I don't think this match is gonna last that long. Um I think this is gonna be a good match. Okay, he wrestled Bobby Lashley on SmackDown. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, I could have sworn he wrestled recently. But man, I cannot wait for Santo Escobar to really, get back on his grind. Uh, I can't wait for him to get back on his grind. But I'm gonna go with Santos Escobar. Santos Escobar needs to win this match. I understand, Carlito, the babyface, get payback for Rey Mysterio and stuff like that. But Santos Escobar really needs to get on a run. I wouldn't mind him winning, going eventually going after the US title, winning it, and eventually well with oh my gosh. With, Mendoza and Wild, I know they changed their name, but when they were on LWO, they have been, like, so non-important that unfortunately, like, Legado del Fantasma is, like, slightly no more. Garza oh, yeah, Garza and Roberto should be with Santos now. That would be good. That would be good. The heel turn just started, so no way Santos loses. Exactly. Their father is the one who started, LWO. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that'd be cool if Garza Umberto is on his side, and we can kinda get, like, a Legado del Fantasma, 2.0 from them. That would be amazing with them 3 as a trio going against the former L going against LWO. That would be cool. But yeah, I agree with you, Justin. The new heel turn just started, so there's no way Santos should be losing right now. Santos should be dominating this storyline. You call up Elektra. Yeah, Elektra was amazing when she was in Logado del Fantasma. Even though she was still like green in the ring and stuff like that, her look was amazing with them. It looked she looked awesome with them. Um I know that I know she's still in NXT. I think she had a match or 2 on, Level Up, I think it's called, or Next Up Level Up, I think it's called, the show that they be having, under NXT. Um, but yeah, she would be amazing, and it definitely could be her versus Zelina because they really don't really have much for Zelina. I mean, Zelina had her moment with Rhea Ripley and stuff like that, and then after that, she's just been pretty much, on the side with Legado del Fantasma. Um, Next up, the women's War Games match: Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch going against Damage Control of Bailey, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane. First of all, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane, like, sign me up for that. I'm hoping it's Damage Control because we really need some momentum with Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane. Like, we need to do something more with our champion. Um, it feels like when Asuka was champion, it was more about other people than Asuka. And now that we have Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane, I'm hoping it's more about Io Sky as champion than it is about Bianca, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. Because whenever those three are around, a championship is no longer about the champion, is about them three. I'm hoping that this situation with Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane leads to Bailey and Dakota Kai getting kicked out, and we have those trio just taking over everything. Because those three are so damn talented that they really should not be playing second fiddle here. Damage Control wins, and we continue the trade of Bailey getting kicked out and Dakota Kai taking over the group. Oh, that would be very interesting. Unfortunately, yeah, because unfortunately with Dakota Kai, she's been injured pretty much most of the time of Damage Control. So it'd be cool if with her taking over or something like that. Because they would need a mouthpiece with Asuka, Io Sky, and Kyrie Sane. You can like I really hope Triple H keeps up with the promos, with them speaking in Japanese and whatnot. Fire. As much as Damage Control should win to strengthen the faction, going Team Bianca to get closer to Damage Control dumping Bailey. That is true. That is true. I figure like eventually we can have that happening. But I just want them to win I just want them to win this time because it's their first time all coming together. I found seeing Bailey winning the Rumble and challenging Io, or could challenge. I could see Bailey winning at the Rumble and challenging Io at Mania. That would be that would be pretty interesting. Um, that would be pretty interesting because I'm hoping my thing is I know that yes, Charlotte, Bianca, and Becky Lynch are very talented. They don't need to be near the title all the time. Like, give give other champions not only a time to shine, but book them strong as well. With Asuka as champion, she wasn't really booked that strong. It was mainly the tug of war between Bianca and Charlotte Flair instead of the title reign of Asuka, which is a shame. I'm hoping that, Damage Control wins this the first time to show their dominance, and then you can eventually have them lose, or you can have EO realize that she is stronger with Asuka and Kyrie Sane there, because when she was just with Bailey and Dakota Kai, mainly Bailey, Bailey was the one who was calling the shots. Bailey was the one that was taking matches on her behalf and stuff like that. And Io Sky was pretty much stuck having to defend her title because it was Bailey who made Io have to wrestle in a trios match, not it wasn't Io's call. I don't know why my camera keeps shaking. It wasn't Io's call. It was Bailey's call that got her into that triple threat match. So maybe that's a way that they can do it, to have Io Sky say, you know what, I was 20 times better off with, Asuka and Kyrie Sane here versus you. I don't need you here because you caused nothing but trouble. I could see it going with Team Bianca, but I'm hoping that they go with Team Damage Control. You can continue the feud between these women and then have it end with them kicking Bailey out, because we still have December before we get into the WrestleMania feud. Um we'll go into the we'll go into this one. So next up for the men's War Games match, Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton going against Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Drew McIntyre. See, I understand Drew McIntyre. I don't see Drew McIntyre as a heel because he's like, listen, I tried to go after Roman Reigns so many times, and Jey Uso was one of the ones who cost me my match. I'm not forgiving his ass. So I understand Drew McIntyre. Like I said, I don't understand why Cody is so forgiving of Jey Uso, and it's like that dude cost you your title shot at WrestleMania. Your story is still not finished because of that man. You was trying to win your title for your dad. He was trying to get the dream for your dad, and now you have to wait a whole year because of this guy. But yeah, he wants to be best friends with Jey Uso. I don't get that part. I understand Drew McIntyre. He's like, listen, I'm here to win the title. This man cost me my title. I'm not going to be as forgiving. So I completely understand. But yeah, Dan, team adversity will win. But I got a bold statement. Priest cash in afterwards somehow. That would be crazy. Cause yeah, we're all waiting for Priest to cash in that briefcase. I'm hoping he cash it in successfully. Truthfully, Seth Rollins is so good. He really don't need the title. He really don't need the title. He can start a feud or something like that with someone else. He really don't need the title in order for him to shine. People are going to still sing the song whether he has the title or not. But yeah, I'm waiting for Damian Priest to cash in that briefcase. Even though it is a cool briefcase, I'm sure they are selling them on the WWE shop and stuff like that. I really need Damian Priest to win the title. I'm still a fan of the level 75 Archer. I've been a fan of his since he was in NXT. I'm hoping that he gets the title. But yeah, Team Adversity is going to fucking win. It's Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on the same team. That the amount of adversity and everything on that side of the team, you also got Sami Zayn, and then you got returning Randy Orton. So of course they're gonna win. Um, Going Team Cody, feel like Judgment Day is gonna start heading downhill starting on Friday. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, it's a shame though, because I like Judgment Day, and it really felt like they was trying to get Judgment Day to be the replacement of the Bloodline, but with the way that they've been booking Judgment Day has been slightly frustrating because they've been having the same feuds, but the feuds aren't going anywhere. Like with like the reason why with Roman Reigns things have been like he has had the title for 3 years and it didn't really feel, prior to WrestleMania, it really didn't feel stagnant. It's because there were so many different ways that the bloodline story was being told. His feud with John Cena, his feud with Cody, his feud with Sami Zayn, his feud with the Usos, stuff like that. It was different people he was going against, but it was a story that was being told in the middle of this. With the Judgment Day, even with Jaydee trying to get into the Judgment Day, it really wasn't like they're all going against the same people, and they're all going against the same people, and each member of the group was going against the same people. So you had Cody Rhodes going against every member of the Judgment Day except for Rhea Ripley. You had the same thing with Sami Zayn, and it's like there's not really a cohesive story that kind of ties it in, and they're all, it, it it just was a little bit disappointing because they felt very dominant when they first was put together, and I thought it would be a bit of a story that's going on with them, but it just kind of like fell off. I've been a fan since he training here in Jersey before he got signed. Oh, cool. Yeah, I was introduced to him when he came to, NXT. Um, I I'm familiar with some people in the indies, but not too familiar with people in the indies. Um, so yeah, I didn't know about Damian Priest until he showed up in, NXT. But he's a cool guy, and I was very happy for him with, his feud against, um, Bad Bunny. That was that was really good. Um, but yeah, it feels like they're going to, break up Judgment Day anytime soon. Him and Riddle got trained in Paulsboro at the Monster Factory. Cool. And I read that Riddle is, I think he's teaming up with, Rob Van Dam or he's going against them. I forgot which one it is. I know he's doing something with RVD. And he, I think, is signed to, not signed, but I think he's affiliated with an indie show now. The Judgment Day story feels like it just starts and stops too many times. It does. It's like the whole like all these feuds that they have going on, it's not flowing. Like Dominic defending the North American Championship had nothing to do with anything that Finn Balor and Damian Priest were doing or what Rhea Ripley is doing. Um Damian Finn winning the, tag team belts, I mean, it kinda had to do with them kinda, like, beefing with each other for a moment, but then it kinda, like, went nowhere. It was like, "Okay, everybody all has titles," and it really didn't go anywhere. They weren't really dominant or anything. They weren't booked so strongly that, during their whole title reign either. It's just, like, slightly disappointing because I had high hopes for, Judgment Day, but their run has gotten stale because they've been going against the same people. It's Cody Rhodes, it's, one of the Usos and whatnot, and Sami Zayn. It's just, like, the same thing over and over and over again. Even with Rhea Ripley, with her title reign, It was just like they're just throwing people at her. It was just it's she's being booked very similar to the way that Jade Cargill was booked in AEW, where they're just throwing people at her and there's not really a cohesive story that's being told. The thing with WWE, it's all about characters and story. That's what WWE is very strong with is characters and story. So I get like slightly confused that, you have a faction that you could easily tell a story with and you're not telling a story with them. After coming off one of your biggest storylines for a very long time and you can't like not even try to recreate not recreate but try to have a strong cohesive story with the Judgment Day, but I'm going with team adversity here. um just a matter of the real story of this War Games match is who's going to be the popular one. Even though Cody Rhodes is the leader, you have Seth Rollins who is the champ, which confuses me as to why Seth Rollins wasn't considered leader, seeing as though he is the champion, but whatever. You have Jey Uso who's gonna have the crowd, saying yeet and stuff like that. And then you have a returning Randy Orton. So where is the attention's gonna go as far as with the crowd? Who's gonna get the loudest pop, I should say? You hear the rumor that WWE saw how she looked in the ring and kind of paused plans with Jade. I heard something about that. Yeah, and Sami Zayn too. Like you have 5 people here who are so popular with the fans. Like, yeah, I really didn't like that Cody Rhodes was named leader when you have your champion standing right there. As if you don't have a champion on that team. Like, it's the adversity. That's why I'm president of the Cody Rhodes Haters Club. He shouldn't be named leader if you have your champion. If the champion is on the team. I heard something like that with Jade Cargill that someone said that they took one look at her and said never mind. But I'm not surprised cuz Jade Cargill, with Jade Cargill, and I said this when she was first signed, she has to learn the quote unquote WWE way. There's a certain wrestling style that WWE likes to do, especially with the women. There is a certain way you cut your promos. There is a certain way that you have your mannerisms and stuff like that. It's very strong about character and promo when it comes to WWE. And Jade was good as far as, talking, but as far as, like, straight up promos and stuff, not the strongest. She has a great presence, and she has charisma, and she commands the room. That's the biggest thing about Jade. But Jade was not wrestling 5-star matches, and this is from someone who loves Jade Cargill. I love Jade Cargill, but she was not wrestling 5-star matches. She was not cutting, the rock style promos or Stone Cold promos or anything like that. Because all she mainly was doing, she was being thrown people to wrestle with. And a lot of times the people who she was wrestling was not as good was not as good as wrestling as her, unfortunately. So, when she was wrestling, she was being trained by Bryan Danielson and stuff like that, but her wrestling style wasn't elevated to a whole other level because she's wrestling people who are far more skilled than her. She picked up a couple of things when she went against I think it was Athena that she went against, and it was like, she picked up a couple of things, and especially after she was training with Bryan Danielson, but she really didn't need to do too much in the ring because she was wrestling people who came off far more inexperienced than her, or really wrestling skills were superior than hers as well. So, yeah. So that's why I said she is gonna go to the, performance center. She has to learn the WWE way. There's a certain style that WWE does. There are certain things you have to do, a way that you cut your promo and stuff like that. I mean, look at, Brian Pillman. The way that Brian Pillman was in AEW and the way he is with Lexis King. If you watch him cut his promos, the way he cut his promos, he has he got that WWE style, the way they cut the promos and the arms and stuff like that, and the way that they talk and stuff. It's not exactly the same, but the style is very similar with a lot of people that cut promos down in NXT. Uh, yeah, I did forget about Sami Zayn. They've been overexposed outside of this feud with the same people every week. They show up in things they're not involved in and had a time where they had so many segments on all three shows. That is it. Yeah, exactly. They really did. I mean, they would come out and they would just cut a promo. The four of them will come out, they'll cut a promo and stuff like that. And then they'll get interrupted by the same people who they go against. And I don't know if I don't know if, Triple H and them were trying to get them to connect to the crowd, like the bloodline, by just constantly having them out on the show, but if you don't have anything for them, a cohesive story with them, it's just gonna be them it's gonna be the heel Seth Rollins effect. Back when Seth Rollins was champion, he was the heel with J&J. He would open the show, he would close the show, he would be in the middle of the show. There will be backstage segments. He'll be appearing on TV like 7 times, and it would get tiring after a while. And that's kind of how it felt like with Judgment Day. Judgment Day was showing up at NXT, they were showing up on Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, stuff like that, just cutting promos, and it was like no actual story as to why we're doing this. You just throwing them in front of us. And so yeah, they did get overexposed. It and it's funny because the way that we feel that Judgment Day is overexposed, where with the Bloodline, it just felt refreshing because each and every week it was something different with them. It was like the Cody words, another chapter to the story. Whereas though with Judgment Day, we're reading the same paragraph over and over and over again. So I don't know. Triple H need to go back to the drawing board with that. Get your adversity VIP card ready. Oh my gosh, you know what's going to happen with that War Games match. It's going to be Cody getting his ass beat the whole time, and then you're gonna need Jey Uso or Sami Zayn or even Randy Orton's gonna come in and help him out. But you know it's going to be I bet you Cody's gonna be the one who starts out first. That's what's gonna happen. Cody's gonna start first so he can sit there and do the adversity and get beat up and stuff like that, especially since they have the advantage. So it'll be the 2-on-1 thing until the second person come in. It'll probably be like Sami Zayn or Jey Uso who's gonna come in next. They're gonna beat that person down. They're gonna be out of it for a little bit, and they're gonna go back to Cody Rhodes, and then it'll be a 3-on-2 advantage, and there'll be 3 people actually beating up on Cody more, a little bit on Sami Zayn or Jey Uso, whoever comes out second. But the attention will be mainly on Cody Rhodes, and then Cody Rhodes is gonna hawk up in time. Well, no, yeah, he's gonna hawk up in time for whoever the third person is gonna come out, and then, you know, it'll go from there. But I bet you he's gonna do that whole adversity thing in War Games. I said all along she needs to start in NXT. That's what I thought too. I thought she would start in NXT and be down there for a little bit, and then she comes up during WrestleMania season. Because I read and I knew that they paid a lot for her. They paid, and I knew that they more likely paid her main roster money in order to take her away from AEW. I knew that they paid her main roster money. And I thought that she would start off in NXT and then put her up on the main roster. And I figured, well, maybe, you know, you don't have to immediately shoot her on to Bianca Belair or anything like that right away. I say you could have started off with a, you know, small feud or something like that to get her started. You don't need to throw her into the title picture right away. I thought that she may have been I thought initially before the rumors and stuff, I thought that she would be entered into the War Games match, even though that would be like very crazy. But I figured that'll be the perfect time to kind of put her in there. She's in there with a lot of strong wrestlers and everything. She don't have to do too much or anything. She could have came out like second or third, whereas though the attention would be put on the other ladies. You had Bianca, Charlotte, and Shotzi. And she would have been, kind of like what they did with Coda, how Coda came out with oh my gosh, I forgot the match that he was in. Well, I forgot the match that Coda was in with Blood and Guts, I think it was. Um where, you put her into a multi-person match, eight pretty much is a 8-man tag match where she can kind of like float in there and kind of like get things down. And then you could put her into a very small feud. You could have had her, feuding with Kyrie Sane or something like that, or even knock her down a peg and have her feud with oh my gosh, with Shayna Baszler or someone like that, or even Natalia for all that matters. Like you could have gave her a very small feud so that she can get, acquainted with the NXT, with WWE style and everything like that. But I knew her learning WWE ways was going to be a big thing. Because with AEW, you get thrown into the ocean, because AEW don't really have a performance center or anything like that. It's all on the job training. You're gonna have to figure out your training schedule outside of AEW, which is okay because you only need to be on TV like once a week, twice if you're very that popular, or if you're on the pay-per-view. So really, it is what it is. I'm hoping that we get to see her, maybe throw her in NXT. She can come up Raw after Mania or something like that. I would love for her to come up at after Mania, or at least be seen in Philadelphia or something like that. You can put her in NXT and have her start in NXT, and she can have a big match at NXT Mania as well. Like I know that they was going to call her up very soon because she's getting paid Mania money, but it is what it is. Speaking of women, next up for the Women's World Championship, we have Rhea Ripley going against Zoe Stark. I have Rhea Ripley winning here, retaining, of course. Um, I don't know. Like I said earlier with Rhea Ripley, they're just kind of like throwing people to her for her to defend her title. Um, I don't think I don't think she's gonna lose her title until Mania. Maybe Royal Rumble if we're gonna be spicy, but I think she keeps her title until WrestleMania. Um, just put her on my TV. Exactly, KGP. I don't care if it's Raw or main roster. Just when they said that they had a fourth member, yo, KGP, you should have saw my face. I was like, it has to be Jade Cargill. And then like seconds before it happened, I was like, it's Becky fucking Lynch, isn't it? And then Becky shows up. And I was like, this would have been a perfect time to put Jade Cargill in there. Or at least if you wanted to introduce her to the main roster. I mean, you already threw her out there on the main roster with the way that she's looking. Everybody's like, who is that? All the wrestling fans' wives are like, who's that? You could have, that would have been a perfect time to put her into the main roster. Just shaking my head. We're just counting down. Justice said, got Rhea retaining. Long-term prediction is her holding title till Mania. Yep, that's what I was saying. I feel as though she's going to hold the title until WrestleMania. I can't, I don't know who she would lose it to, really. Maybe, hopefully, a reemergence of Shayna Baszler. Um, I, I hope they're not thinking Nia Jax. Maybe, Raquel if they redo that feud or something like that, but the easy answer would be Charlotte Flair. Somebody say titles, here comes Charlotte. My guess is Becky Lynch. I can do that. I can guess that too cuz really with Becky Lynch, it just really feels like they don't have nothing much for her because she pretty much been, bumping with well, it was the whole thing with Trish and stuff like that. And then since then, it's just her kinda, like, bumping with the title, and then, kinda go from there. So, yeah, I could see Rhea versus Becky. I hope they, make it interesting, stuff like that. Um, yeah, 'cause that's Raw. Yeah, I can see that happening. I have to I have to keep remembering that we're on a hard brand split with these titles. I have to sit there and think of who's on Raw and who's on SmackDown. And then finally, for the Intercontinental Championship, we got Gunther going against The Miz. The Miz, who's now face, who hasn't been face since what 2020, I think it was, or something like that. I have Gunther retaining. Listen, I'm a fan of Miz. I like the Miz. The Miz is such a hard worker, but he's not beating Gunther with this title. Sorry to say. Uh, Gunther's going to keep holding this title. I have Gunther losing. Maybe at maybe at the Royal Rumble, because I have Gunther in a. I think Gunther will be in a non-title match, but it'll be like a very like. I'm hoping he get like damn near match of the night. I wouldn't mind him versus Drew McIntyre. Maybe we kind of get that going. I listen, I need him in a very good feud. I was hoping that it would be Chad Gable. Maybe they revisit that again. Because yeah, Chad Gable needs to win a title. I love Chad Gable. Like I'm so sad that we can't get American Alpha anymore. Because I really wanted Gunther. I mean, I really want Chad Gable to win the IC title. But we have no Roman Reigns, so I'm figuring that the IC title or maybe the men's War Games would be the main event. We'll see. But yeah, I think we're gonna add Nakamura match maybe. Um, Maybe a match on the pre-show, who knows? But I think we're gonna have Nakamura and his mystery person, who may or may not be CM Punk coming in. I got Gunther retaining. Seeing Gunther dropping the title at Rumble earlier in the night, entering the Rumble match later and winning. That would be fire. Him versus Seth Rollins for the title. Yeah, that's what I have him dropping the title at the Royal Rumble just so we can get him in a very exciting feud for the WrestleMania. Like he needs a we need another chest slapping match at WrestleMania. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him going against you or ooh, have Damian Priest cash in the title. Damian Priest versus Gunther at WrestleMania. Well, no, if Gunther win yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. If Gunther enters the Royal Rumble, he can challenge the Damian Priest for the title. I don't want it to be Cody Rhodes. I really hope it is not Cody Rhodes in that Royal Rumble. Or if he is in the Royal Rumble, that he gets eliminated by somebody because he needs to stay away from that Royal Rumble. He can challenge. He can challenge. Roman Reigns through the Elimination Chamber or something like that, or just bumping into him in backstage or something like that and challenging him that way. I do not want Cody Rhodes going into that Royal Rumble again. He already had that. We got it. We got the vignettes and stuff like that. I don't need him going into the Royal Rumble and winning it just to go again, just to run the whole thing back against of him versus Roman Reigns. He can challenge Roman Reigns a different way, yo. We don't need that. We don't need to run that back, okay? I understand WrestleMania Philly, we love the underdogs, stuff like that, the Rocky and stuff like that. We don't need all that. Just bump into Roman Reigns backstage, challenge him that way, and we call it a day. But Gunther going into the Royal Rumble, winning and challenging Damian Priest at Mania, I can do with that. I can do that. So I'm gonna go into Full Gear results real quick. Full Gear was a pretty good show. I was doing the live watch along with Floor Slapper Sports. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, be sure to check that out. Long pay-per-view, yo. Listen, AEW does put on some good pay-per-views, very good pay-per-view matches, but my goodness, Tony Khan, we need to cut down the time limit. Okay. 5-6 hours. There's a reason why people bitched and moan about WrestleMania, and people are fine with WrestleMania being 2 nights because 5-6 hours with a 5-6 hours of a pay-per-view, it's not hitting. Agreed. No two back to back years. Give the Rumble to whoever challenges Seth. Exactly. Like we already know it's going to be Seth versus Roman at Mania 40 unless The Rock decides he wants to do something or unless they want to throw him to Gunther like the old rumor was going. But yeah, I don't need Cody Rhodes winning back to back. It was cool when it was back to back back in the Attitude Era when it was we had two people, people winning two of them and stuff like that. I think it was Stone Cold's the other person who won back to back. Maybe Shawn Michaels too, but I think it's Stone Cold who did back to back. That was cool. Stone Cold was Stone Colding it. There was multiple people who are popular and, there were a lot of major stars back then, but nah, we don't need a two-peat back right now. We already know Cody Rhodes got the story that he needs to finish. He can enter the chapter outside the Royal Rumble. But yeah, with Full Gear, oh my gosh, it was such a long show. Okay, yeah, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold. Okay. I knew it was Stone Cold, and I think it was Shawn Michaels because of I remember I think it was one of the years that's when they established the 1 foot, both feet must hit the floor because he did the 1 foot thing. Yeah, I figure it was Shawn Michaels. That was the back to back. But oh my gosh, if you watch the live watch along, oh my gosh, I was fighting my tiredness. I was so tired towards the end of the night because it was just such a long pay-per-view. Like we don't need pay-per-view shouldn't be ending at midnight. And I understand it was a Saturday. I was happy it was a Saturday because oh my gosh, pay-per-views really should not be ending at midnight. But we had for the Ring of Honor World Championship, Eddie Kingston going against Jay Lethal, um, along with Team TNA ringside. I love Eddie Kingston. I really do. Very weird what happened afterwards with Eddie Kingston saying he's going to defend his world championship and New Japan championship in this continental thing. And it was very confusing. I don't know because he said whoever beats him will win both of the titles. But then they said the winner of the whole tournament will have 3 titles. So I don't know if it's being defended every time the champion is there. Like, does this mean that we're gonna have a triple champion? Like, we're we're making things too complicated, Tony Khan. We could have easily made this the Continental Championship, and Eddie didn't really need to put his titles up. He could have said runner up gets a title shot against me or something like that. I don't know why we had to make it complicated. Just to say, such an exhausting show. My God, what a show it was. Yes. I think he said, "But my God, this thing is in my way." Yeah, it was a very yeah, but my God, it was a good show. Yeah, it was such a good show, yo, but it was just so freaking long. Um, then we had Claudio Castagnoli defeating Buddy Matthews, tapping out to the fucking sharpshooter, which I like that was crazy. I didn't expect Buddy Matthews to tap out to the sharpshooter. And if I remember correctly, like Claudio wasn't really like attacking his back or legs or anything like that to really set that up. And it wasn't like a big struggle or anything like that. With Buddy Matthews be like I would have rather had Buddy Matthews pass out or something like that. Even though it's kind of what they did with the guns. But I rather have Buddy Matthews in that hole for like a good 5 minutes before he tapped out. Um, Now, this is a match that on paper, I was like, "Ooh, yes, I definitely love that match." I wouldn't mind a feud with Claudio and Buddy Matthews. I really wouldn't. I love them both. Love how they're trying to make it the best tournament they had, and they're making it so convoluted in the process. Yes, like originally the tournament sounds amazing. It feels like the G1. I'm not too familiar with the G1. Like I watch Wrestle Kingdom from time to time and everything like that, but I don't really watch the G1 because the G1 it sounds so confusing to me. And I was like, you know what? I'll hear the information from it uh from like Dan and stuff like that and other people. But I was like, but when it was explained with AEW's way, I said, oh, this sounds like a really cool idea. But then it just made it so damn complicated because now we have Brian Danielson in it. We have I think Kenny is in it. We got Mark Briscoe that's in it now. We got Eddie who's in it. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is really cool. But then we adding in titles and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Really thought Full Gear was going to be the House of Black Knight. Yet they went 1 for 3. I know. I thought Buddy Matthews was going to win this match because I wanted House of Black to just be dominant with this. And it just was like, it wasn't happening, which I was just like, so, oh my gosh. I love House of Black. And I feel as though House of Black should be a dominant faction. But like their return and everything has just been like, womp, womp, womp. So I was really hoping that Buddy Matthews win here. I'm hoping that they just run this back. Just run it back and then have Buddy Matthews win. And then they have the rubber match later on down the road. And then have Buddy Matthews win that one. But I was very shocked that he tapped out to the sharpshooter. I understand why Claudio does the sharpshooter, but I'm like, I don't recall him really winning with the sharpshooter like that. So that was confusing. Then we had MJF and Samoa Joe going against the Guns. Samoa Joe had I forgot, I think it was Colton that he put the coquina clutch in, and Colton passed out. Which I was a little upset. I had the Guns winning this because I figured Samoa Joe was going to cost MJF the match, because the deal was for Samoa Joe to fill in for Adam Cole for the match. There was no talk about winning the match, so I thought that he would get the okay from MJF in the beginning of the match and then eventually cost him the title. I'm just slightly upset that we have this match put together of two people, and then you had Adam Cole came out in the middle of the match, and I was like, this is unfair to the Guns because that is a distraction, and they should be able to get another title shot. Listen, I like MJF, I do. I hate this whole, I don't have a tag team partner, but somehow I'm successfully defending this tag team championship. I'm sitting here like, just let the Guns win the title. And then once Adam Cole is okay, and if you still want MJF and Adam Cole to have the tag team titles again, they can go back and get the title shot. Like, we're not really, like, we are doing things with the Ring of Honor title championship, but we're not really doing anything with them tag team titles. You could have gave it to the Guns and have the Guns run wild on it. It would have been amazing and everything like that. Give it to a legit tag team instead of MJF and Vacant. But I was like, that's unfair to the Guns. I really want the Guns to win. Just, you could have gave it to the Guns. They could have had fun with it and stuff like that. And once Adam Cole feels better, and if you wanted to revisit the whole brochachos with the Ring of Honor championship, you could have done that. So I was just a little disappointed with that. So starting the pay-per-view, we had the 6-man tag of Sting, Darby Allin, Adam Copeland going against the Patriarchy of Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. I get they did the whole injury angle to try to make it seem like Jay White had a shot to win the title, but honestly, it wasn't necessary. Oh my gosh. I did not like the whole injury thing. And I'm happy that fans did not like it, and I'm happy that fans called out the plot holes with the whole thing. That so after the match, we had the Guns who attacked MJF, and they took out MJF's, I think it was, I thought it was his ankle, but it seems like it was higher. It was his I could have sworn they did it to his ankle with the chair, but they had his knee taped up, if I remember correctly. And he was put into the ambulance, and he told Adam Cole, promise me that they won't take my title. Adam Cole says, I promise. And I'm like, okay. And actually, I'll talk about the title match next, since I'm talking about it. And then, so I'm like, okay, they'll either have MJF come back out before the match, or we'll have Roderick Strong who will stand up for his friend and help him stand up for MJF. But then they had the segment of Jay White with Tony Schiavone, which Jay White and Tony Schiavone, they were hilarious. And they were about to say, they was about to give the title to Jay White because MJF wasn't medically cleared, which confuses me because AEW loves to do the interim championship. So I was confused as to why we didn't have it, that they wouldn't say the match will be for the interim championship instead of immediately giving Jay White the title. Then Adam Cole comes out and then he says, on crutches, and says, I'm going to fight in MJF's place. And they were okay with that. He said he even talked to Tony Khan and they were okay with it. So I'm like, wait a minute. MJF got hurt and he's not medically cleared, but somehow Adam Cole is medically cleared when he's on crutches with a boot on and everything, but he's medically cleared enough to wrestle in a match. Okay. I could have seen if Tony Khan said you need to find a replacement instead of it being Adam Cole. And even Britt Baker called this out, which I'm happy that she did too, because this was silly. This was on some silly stuff that really wasn't necessary. This is one of those overbooking situations where we really didn't need the whole Adam Cole thing. We could have had it that MJF must be cleared by the time the bell rings or something like that, or the 10 count of the ref during the main event, or else then it'll be considered a forfeit and then Jay White will win the title. That would have made a lot more sense versus having Adam Cole showing up to stand in place of MJF, who's not medically cleared, but somehow Adam Cole, who is still recovering from surgery, gets the is cleared enough to wrestle a match. Or you could have had, Adam Cole wondering how is he going to save it, and you could have had Roderick Strong come in and say, "I'll help you," and then you could have had MJF come out with the ambulance. That would have made more sense. Um, I get the did I read that? Yeah, I read that. I get they did the whole injury angle to try to make it seem Jay White had his shot to win. Yeah, I did read that. How stupid did it look having agents and ref try to stop MJF, who doesn't have legit injury, yet they were fine with Adam Cole being in the match with a legit injury? Exactly. That didn't make sense either. That you had refs and agents stopping MJF, but yet Adam Cole had a whole entrance to the ring. I could understand if he said, "I will wrestle," and they say no, and then he's coming out and the agents and refs were stopping him, and then you had MJF come out. Or like I said, you could have easily to tie in everything that's going on with MJF and Adam Cole, you could have Roderick show up and say, I will fight for MJF for you, because you're my best friend and I will do this for you." And you could have had Roderick Strong come out, get out the wheelchair and everything like that. And before they ring the bell, then you would have had the ambulance show up. And that would have made more sense. And that would have caused more of a rift between Roderick Strong and MJF. And you would have had Adam Cole be happy that MJF came back. And Roderick Strong would have probably had an issue with Roderick Strong would have had an issue with Adam Cole being so happy that MJF came back. And he could have said, and that could have led a, quote unquote, uh, a title shot or even a Ring of Honor title shot down the road. Because you could have had Roderick be upset that, like, I was about to defend the title for you, Adam, and for MJF, and MJF didn't even give me the chance to do it. Something like that. So I don't know. It's like some things are like were overly booked and like too complicated. Whereas though this situation with MJF, you could have made it as simple as MJF has until once the championship match, the main event starts tonight, MJF has until the count of 10. Once the ring bells, MJF has to the count of 10. If MJF cannot find a legitimate replacement, or show up, then he would have forfeited the title. That's how easily they could have done that. But once we got to that match, truthfully, I checked out of it because I was just so frustrated with the whole angle of him being injured. Um, they teased Adam Cole throwing in the towel, which I thought would have been pretty interesting. Um, the main event match was awesome, but that was the to be expected from JYMGF. So really unnecessary. They went with the injury angle. Yeah, so I checked out of it. Like it would have been a great match, but I was just so frustrated with the whole injury angle because then I knew MJF was going to retain because Jay White has had the title this whole time, and the story became of MJF trying to get the title back. So I knew that MJF was going to win to get the title back. But I was like, with this injury thing, and you had Juice Robinson wasn't there. It's like with Jay White losing, I was like, it wouldn't have been like Jay White would have been losing to someone who was injured. You know what I mean? Like they gave MJF another whole underdog Cody Rhodes s type of adversity thing, which really wasn't needed, truthfully. Um I know they did it to kind of like sort of kind of make it seem like Jay White has had a shot, but it really wasn't needed because Jay White is such a good wrestler. He had a shot this whole time because you had Jay White who hit MJF with the title. He hit MJF with the diamond ring. Um, no, I think he was about to hit him with the diamond ring. You had the guns come out, so you had all this stuff packed on for Jay White to win, and he still couldn't win, which kind of hurts Jay White in the end. But I'm hoping Jay White is so good. I have slight confidence that he can like rebound from this. Um, Adam Cole seemingly made it obvious he's the devil. Prime example, how did he get the dynamite diamond ring when MJF always has it on him? Exactly. And then the fact that the devil did not show up at all because Adam Cole is back. So, yeah. Um exactly. But it was just like I didn't like I I think the match would have still been good if we hadn't done the whole injury angle and the or anything like that. But I did like the fact that they teased Adam Cole throwing in the towel on MJF. I liked that. But yeah, but I mean, the pay-per-view was so long that I was just so tired once we got to the main event, and then I was just like slightly upset with this whole injury thing with Jay White. Because the Bang Bang Club is so cool with, with all of them in it. We didn't need all this. We didn't need all this with the injury and everything like that with MJF. Um so going back to the six-man tag match with Darby, Sting, and Adam Copeland going to patriarchy. First of all, I love the fact that we had the kids singing Christian's theme. And now Christian's little countdown has words with it that's like compassionate, loved, which I completely love. I love the father figure Christian Cage. And then he was sitting there hugging Nick and holding him and stuff like that and giving him advice. I loved it. Now the thing that was like I kind of get but I don't get, but they're teasing the whole Adam Cole and Christian Cage not facing each other. Even though we did have Adam Cole spear Christian Cage, I can slightly forgive that because it's like he speared him, and now Christian Cage wants to avoid him. I'm very happy that we didn't have Christian Cage and Adam Copeland facing each other. Hold that off until the one-on-one match, because that will be the payoff, is seeing them together. Because I always hated the whole, we're going to have these two people face each other for the first time ever, but we're going to throw them in a tag team match so you can kind of get a little taste of what it's going to be. And it's like, no, hold it until the pay-per-view. We're paying $50 for this pay-per-view. I don't want to see Adam Adam Copeland and Christian Cage fight each other until the pay-per-view when it's a one-on-one match. But of course, we had Darby, Sting and Adam Copeland win here. And then Darby had to remind people in California, like, yo, this is your last time seeing Sting. You better cheer him on and thank him. Like, we're also wrapped up on this whole Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage thing that people completely forgot this is a Sting Sting retiring tour that he's on right now. So Sting got his proper flowers. They started chanting his name, saying thank you to Sting and everything like that. But yeah, they definitely have to remind people that this is the goodbye tour of Sting. Like, this is the last time you're going to see him wrestling live in front of you. You better like hype it all up. So next up for the AEW International Championship, we had Orange Cassidy going against John Moxley. This was a good match between these two. I thought John Moxley was going to win here, but Orange Cassidy retained, which I'm not too mad about. Orange Cassidy had an amazing run with the International Championship the first time around. Definitely a workhorse, was putting on great matches and everything like that. So I feel like we're gonna continue to get here with his second title reign. But I thought they was running it back for I thought they was running it back for him to for John Moxley to win so they can redo the so he could redo his title run that he was supposed to do before he got concussed. But it looks like we're gonna continue going with Orange Cassidy. Maybe John Moxley will enter until the Continental tournament, unless I forgot that he's been named already. Next up for the AEW Women's Championship, we got Toni Storm, who won the title over Hikaru Shida. I figured Toni Storm was going to win this because Toni Storm was the one who had the storyline and things going for her versus Shida. They've been doing Shida wrong with her championship reigns this whole time. I figured that once Toni Storm gets the title shot, gets the championship, I mean, that they'll do a lot more with her story wise and things like that. Um, because they really wasn't doing much with Shida. Moxley really doesn't need the international championship. Having Orange Cassidy get his win back felt like the right decision. I agree. John Moxley is a very good wrestler, and like I said, I think he is going to go into the Continental tournament and just sit there and whoop ass from there. But I'm hoping that they do something now with the women's world championship now that Toni Storm has it, because they weren't really doing much with Shida. Next up, the four-way tag team ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Ricky Starks and Big Bill retained their title after they defeated La Faction in Golbanave, FTR, and Kings of the Black Throne. I thought the Kings of the Black Throne was going to win this, but my goodness, Brody King, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Fantastic with this. If you hear kids in the background, those are my two teenagers sitting there talking and everything like that. But yeah, I thought that Malachi Black and Brody King was going to win this. Brody King showed off. And I know people, and of course we had a meet chant between him when him and Big Bill was going against each other. I'm hoping that we just get something with the tag team championship, give Ricky Starks and Bill a bit of a storyline going here. Um, but my goodness, Dralistico was amazing. Roosh was amazing. FTR, ladies and gentlemen, I thought there were no flips, but they were flipping. They were flipping in this match. There was a lot of great sequences in these ladder matches. The ladder matches in AEW kind of hit different because, oh my gosh, they be really towing the lines with some of these spots in these ladder matches. There was the spot with Brody King, where he did what was it, a pile driver, I think it was, that he did on Dralistico. Then we had I think it was Dax who did after that. Dax went on the top rope and did a splash onto Brody, who was on the ladder bridge. I'm like, look at FTR, sitting there getting some high risk, high flying moves in there. But we had Ricky Starks and Big Bill who retained. Unfortunately, I thought that I wanted Kings of the Black Throne to win here, but I'm hoping hopefully this starts kind of like a feud between Black Throne and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. We just really need to get something going with House of Black here. Was generally surprised Ricky and Bill retained, but it's good to see Ricky with a championship. It really is. That's why I'm not too mad about him with a championship. He just really needs to have a storyline and kind of get things going here. Because what sometimes happens a lot whenever they don't have anything going for a person, they just throw them into either a tag team or a faction or something like that. And I feel like that's what happened with Ricky Starks after, especially since especially since um CM Punk left, they really didn't know what to do with him, so they kind of threw him in a tag team. But I'm hoping that they get something going with these two cuz they put on a pretty good match with this. Um and then after that, we had a triple threat for the AEW TBS Championship with Julia Hart defeating Chris Statlander and Sky Blue. Kayla was very upset about Chris Statlander losing her title. I thought Chris Statlander was going to retain, but listen, I am not mad of Julia Hart winning. I'm surprised that she won. I don't mind it though. Just like I said with Tony Storm, I hope they get something going with Julia Hart. Like I said in the predictions, they really didn't have nothing for Chris Statlander. They were kind of doing the same thing they did with Jade Cargill when they were just throwing her bodies to for her to defend her title against. And it was more of a storyline with Julia Hart and Sky Blue than it was a storyline with Chris Statlander as champion. I don't know what they're gonna do with Chris Statlander now. I don't know if they're gonna just have her try to go after her championship again or something. Um, or maybe she go after the world championship. I don't know. But I'm happy that Julia Hart won her title. She has definitely has improved since she started with AEW. So we're gonna go to the tag team match of the Golden Jets versus the Young Bucks. I really wanted the Young Bucks to win because I am not the biggest fan of the Golden Jets. I want Kenny Omega to be in the singles run again, because he's amazing. I get that he probably wanted to do this tag team with Chris Jericho to give other people a chance, but no, I want singles run Kenny Omega. I feel as though the only person he should be teaming up with right now is Coda, so we have the Golden Lovers back, but this Golden Jets thing was not really hitting. Unfortunately, they had to go after the match of the night, the craziest match of the night, which Chris Jericho had wanted. He wanted the challenge, and there was some good sequences in this match. But with them winning, you had the Young Bucks who threw a whole tantrum. Statlander didn't need to hold the TBS title really long. She definitely ready to be in the main women's championship scene. I completely agree. Chris Statlander, as cool as it was for her to win the TBS championship, like I said, they really started to just throw her bodies like Jade Cargill, and she definitely needs to be in the main championship scene. I don't know though. The only thing is with Chris Statlander and the main women's championship team, I I don't want her to kind of get sucked into the not really silly storyline of Tony Storm, but I kind of want her to be in a very serious feud. Um I like Tony Storm's gimmick, but it can get a little bit silly. And I feel as though Chris Statlander really needs to be in like a hard hitting type of match. Like Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. She needs to be in a serious, hard hitting, like, yo, that could be match of the year type of feud. Um, that's what she really needs to do. Um, like you're gonna have her like bring I don't know what's going well, I think Britt Baker has to work a certain amount of hours at her job or something like that. That's why she hasn't been seen for a while. But we really need to get something going with her. Hopefully Jericho and Omega doesn't beat Starks and Big Bill. I know, right? That's why I wanted the Young Bucks to win, so that the Golden Jets would have to disband as a team. And I really don't want them to win the tag team titles. I get it. You know, people may like them, but I want singles run Kenny Omega. Um, Especially that Coda is signed with AEW. Why I really don't see why Kenny Omega has to team up with Chris Jericho. Like the easiest toss up is Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, reunite the Golden Lovers, break up the Golden Jets, and call it a day. So then we get to the match of the night, the craziest match I've ever seen. That was the Texas Death Match with Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. First of all, Swerve Strickland with that entrance. So I know people, some people don't like the silliness of it. Golden Jets winning was the right decision to help move the Bucks heel turn forward more. But to be really honest, really interested in anything the Bucks, not really interested in anything the Bucks are doing. Yeah, I understand that they kind of want to move the storyline along with the Bucks turning heel, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Golden Jets. I really am not. Like I'd rather for the been the Young Bucks to win and then kind of had them turn heel by being frustrated that they couldn't win the tag team championship. But I guess they want them to turn heel on Kenny Omega, which okay, if that's what you want to do. Um but you could have had them lose the title shot and then have Kenny try to cheer them up, but we have Kota Ibushi there. And now Kenny is teaming up with Kota Ibushi, and the Young Bucks could feel like they're being neglected because it's like first it was Chris Jericho, now it's Kota, and it feels like, you're neglecting us. I don't know. Tony Khan, if you're watching, just tweet at me. Like, there's a simpler way to do some of these stories versus this, very complicated 8-step process that you got going on here. I understand that you need to put in some fillers for some of these AEW Dynamites until the next pay-per-view, but it really don't need to be like 20 steps when you could easily take 5 steps and it will still fill up the amount of time that you need until the next pay-per-view. But oh my gosh, that Texas death match. Because I know people don't like the silly with Prince Nana and the dance and stuff like that. And it shouldn't work, right? It shouldn't work. But it works so well with how serious Swerve is. Like it's silly, and then Swerve comes out, and it's like a whole different aura that goes on. Like you have Prince Nana with the dancers, he's doing the silly dance and stuff like that. And then Swerve walks out like I own the whole place. Like this pay-per-view is mine. Like I'm the main event. And you kind of he pushes it all out and you just get like the silliness all around him, but it's as if there's like a bubble around him and it's just like he walks out like the attention is on him. Yeah, when he walks out, the attention it kind of gets on him. Like you see Prince Nana dancing and stuff like that, but your eyes go to Swerve because Swerve is walking like this is my house. I have the silly roommate here, but this is still Swerve's house. First of all, I love his theme music. I bump his theme music. When I first heard his theme music, I was like, this is so good. And I immediately added it to not the remix that the AEW plays, but the original song I had added it to the Spotify playlist. And then they released the actual song and I definitely added that to the Spotify playlist. 2 words that best describe the Texas Death Match we saw: pure insanity. Listen, that match, out of all the shit that we have seen on ECW, that Texas Death Match made me so uncomfortable. That match made Taz uncomfortable, and Taz was in ECW. That match was so uncomfortable, And it wasn't like this was overly done, or this didn't feel like a John Moxley thing where it's just like we're doing shit just to do shit. This fit so perfectly with the storyline of Hangman Adam Page was so pissed off that that Swerve Strickland cut a full promo on his kid and gave him a free t-shirt. That's what I kept saying during the live stream. I'm like, all of this because Swerve gave that baby a free t-shirt. Like, it fit the bill. Hangman Adam Page was so upset. This felt like two people who hated each other. That's how it was. This was two people who hated each other, and they was willing to do whatever it takes just to take each other out. Because sometimes with extreme matches, it's about winning the match. These two just wanted to hurt each other, which is perfect of what a Texas death match is. So, like with these, and I've said this with like a Hell in a Cell match. I said, you shouldn't throw a Hell in a Cell match just to throw in a Hell in a Cell match. The intensity of the rivalry should be so intense that it needs to be in a Hell in a Cell. And that's how I feel with this Texas death match. The feud between these two was so intense that it needed this match. And it really felt like the feud felt as intense as this match. Moxley was probably backstage doing his best Dolph Ziggler impression, saying it should have been me. He's probably talking to Tony Khan about having a Texas death match at World's End or something like that. He's probably like, listen, you put me, he's not even talking about, no, he wants to be in a Texas death match with Swerve Strickland. That's what it is. You need the right person to do this craziness with. And Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page are the right people to do this crazy thing with. First of all, the blade/vampire spot that Hangman Adam Page did, I yelled, bro, it is post motherfucking COVID. Even pre-COVID, drinking someone's blood. And I know there were probably some people out there that was like, oh, it's fake and stuff like that. It didn't go in his mouth. That motherfucker spit it out like he was on the set of Blade. And I'm talking about Wesley Snipes' Blade. Like, yo, that was the craziest spot I've seen in wrestling. Normally, you take the blood, I've seen people take blood and, wipe it on the chest. I did see once of someone licking blood or something like that. But the squeeze someone's head and let that shit drain in your mouth and the camera showed, like, nah, it's not a few drops. Like, it was coming crazy. Craziness. First of all, the staple gun, and then he had the little drawing that his kid did. And I think it was referenced during the Swerve promo or not, I'm not 100% sure, but the staple gun, and then fucking Swerve staple himself like, listen, this isn't nothing to me. Swerve having another Texas death match and against Moxley of all people, and having Swerve going over Moxley would be incredible. That would be incredible. Like, make this, like, give Swerve and Moxley an intense match or something. Listen, Swerve could sit there and cut another promo against a baby. He can cut a promo against Renee and toss her a shirt for all I care. But oh my gosh, we need another intense feud like that for there to be a Texas death match between Swerve and John Moxley. The shit that we seen, the barbed wire, the fucking oh my gosh. I forgot what move I forgot what move Hangman did. I think he did a splash or something like that on Swerve on top of the barbed wire chair and it was a spot where fucking Hangman's knees hit the barbed wire too. And so he took as much damage too. There was the cinder block that was used that was sitting on the apron. Listen, it was so many spots in this match that made you uncomfortable. And it was like this, everybody was like, this is sick, this is crazy, this is uncomfortable. but I love it. Like, it was such an uncomfortable match, but it was such a good match on top of that. Like, the intensity of this match and, like, the story that was being told in this as well, because this was the story of Hangman Adam Page being so mad about what Swerve did and everything like that, and especially the promo that, Hangman cut on Friday. Didn't let Swerve say anything or anything like that. Sat there and straight up talked shit about Swerve. Basically, Hangman coming in saying, this is my domain and I'm taking you to the limit." And Swerve, the story of Swerve coming in and saying, "Listen, you could take me there and I'm gonna take it to another level. You thought that you thought that I had to survive this, but it like he fucking Uno reverse card this bad boy. Can't forget the 450 to Hangman's back with the broken glass on it. I thought it was thumbtacks, first of all. When I saw, of course, the velvet bag, it's normally thumbtacks. I'm like, really? I'm like, we done had, I said, after the staple gun and everything, y'all throw in fucking thumbtacks. And whew, oh my goodness, they definitely proved me wrong because then it was glass. Uh, First of all, CM Punk to AEW not confirmed because they use glass. I'm sure Jack Perry was in the back somewhere telling someone to cry me a river. But yeah, the 450 to Hangman's back with the broken glass on it. And it wasn't like Swerve had a shirt on or something to protect him. Like, no, like, craziest thing. The craziest thing. What else we had? Then we had the barbed wire that he put around Swerve's neck and he gave him the buckshot lariat with the barbed wire on it. Um Prince Nana took a bump as well, if I remember correctly. We had Swerve taking the cinder block and breaking it on Hangman. Hangman eventually got up, sat there, and took the chain and pretty much choked him out. And that's how Swerve won the match. And then Swerve cut a nice ass promo afterwards, sitting there saying, this isn't just my house. This is my dungeon. And he said, "Hey man, this better be it." He said, "Because the next time you come in the ring with me, you're dead." And something that I didn't even notice until Swerve tweeted, his ring gear, his pants were inspired by Bray Wyatt, which I thought was really cool. Um, Definitely a great tribute to Bray, especially that crazy ass match he had. But my goodness, that had to be match slash feud of the year. And yes, I am team throw Swerve a championship. I don't think it's gonna happen soon, because like I said, with the AEW championship is such a fucking bottleneck of people. Because we got Adam Cole to get the shot. We got I'm about to say Swerve, Samoa Joe as well. So, and with AEW, normally AEW champions hold the title for at least 6 months. I say, you can have him go after the Intercontinental Championship right now. Because truthfully, as Swerve shown, like he can have really good ass feuds without a championship. So you can have him go after the why I say intercontinental? International. We can have him go after the international championship while MJF is still fighting people off. Um, because truthfully, I don't want Swerve to win it and then have a short title reign, even if it is 6 months. I want him to have a long title reign because I want his title reign to be important. I don't want his title reign to feel rushed or anything like that, or that we're checking off a box or something. I want his title shot to come naturally and for it to make sense, for him to win the championship, and for him to have a very good feud and storyline with his championship. Because once Hangman Adam Page won his title, they really didn't know what to do with him. He really didn't have much of a story going with his title shot, and towards the end of his title reign, you was just waiting for him to lose the title. I don't want that to happen to him. I want him to have I want his title reign and his title shot to all make sense. So that's why I say I wouldn't mind him winning the international championship. And, he doesn't have to win the title right now. I would love for him to win the title and everything. And it's hard not to give people title shots when they are over and they have the rocket on their back ready for it to be set off. I don't want Swerve's title shot to come. Like, I don't want him to be done like they did with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks got hot. He got the title shot. It was a good storyline. He didn't win the title because they wanted to keep the title on MJF. I don't want that to happen to Swerve. I want Swerve's title shot to make sense. I want him to win the title, and I want him to have a lengthy title reign with great storylines in it. Like, I want Tony Khan to book Swerve's title reign as strong as you booked MJF and Kenny Omega. Okay? But overall, Full Gear was a very good pay-per-view, and I can't wait for World's End and then for Revolution. And then we have Survivor Series coming this Saturday. Whether or not CM Punk shows up, we will see, I guess. But we do have Randy Orton returning, and we have about 5 matches, so it's going to be short and sweet. I don't think WWE has anything going for them in December except for tribute to the troops. So then after that, we will have Royal Rumble and then the start of Mania season. But Swerve should win the AEW World Title. That match was incredible. Love that blood spot. Listen, that blood spot was crazy. Like I was saying, yeah, Swerve definitely should win the AEW World Championship, but I want his title shot to make sense. And I want him to have an incredible title reign, and I don't want it to feel rushed or anything. Like I said, I don't want them to do to him what they did to Ricky Starks, where Ricky Starks was popular. Everyone wanted him to win the title. He got the title shot. He didn't win, and then it just like went flat from there. I don't want that to happen with Swerve. Um, I want Swerve to get his title shot. Like I said, I think he should go after the international championship, have a very good reign, you know, be a workhorse and stuff like that. Kind of what happened with Orange Cassidy. Have him put on good matches, stuff like that. Because with the AEW championship, there's a bottleneck because AEW don't play hot potato with their tag team championship. Um, so far, every person that held that championship has had it for 6 months or longer. So now there's a bottleneck of who's champion after MJF because you have Adam Cole, you have Samoa Joe, you still have Bryan Danielson. Who else? I'm missing one more person. I forgot who. But yeah, you have Bryan Danielson, you have Samoa Joe, you have Adam Cole. Um, Jay White could wait. Like Jay White could wait. But yeah, you at least have 2, 3 people who should have the title before Swerve. I love Swerve Strickland. I do. But I feel as though we need Adam Cole to win that title because we definitely need that turn from Adam Cole on MJF. Samoa Joe should definitely win the title. Um, and so that's another year out, at least another year out before I think Swerve should get the title shot. I feel as though we can still ride the momentum of Swerve Strickland, like we have with Orange Cassidy. Swerve beating Orange would be fun. It would be. And then for him to win the international championship. And then from there, he can, if he wants to, he can go to New Japan, defend that title. He can go to fucking AAA. Because wasn't Swerve in Lucha Underground? I think was yeah. I think Swerve was in Lucha Underground. Or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But you have Swerve go to AAA. If AEW is still doing anything with them, he can go over to Impact. He could pretty much be not really a belt collector like Kenny Omega, but the fact that Kenny Omega represented AEW and went to all different promotions defending his title, Swerve can do the same exact thing. And Swerve can hold the international championship and really have a great title reign. Yes, thank you. I knew Swerve was in. I remember I'm sitting here like I swore Swerve was in Lucha Underground. Okay, he was kill shot in Lucha Underground. So yeah, so he can go to AAA, go against a couple of people. He can go over to New Japan if he wanted to. He can go to Impact. So he could kind of like branch out and kind of like not really get his name out there, but really start to like build momentum for himself. To where as though it's kind of like a lot of people looking for him to win the championship. Like I said, I want his title shot to make sense, and I want his title shot to make sense, to be a great story and everything. Kind of how it felt with Hangman Page and his title shot, how everybody was so excited about and everything like that. But I want his title reign to be similar to Kenny Omega and MJF, where it's a great story of the title reign or anything like that. I don't want him to turn out to be like Heyman and Page, where the run for the title shot, the chase for the title was exciting, and then his title reign was just like, bleh, we don't know what to do after this. I don't want that to happen with Swerve. I want Swerve to have a great title reign. I feel as though he has the momentum. You could just build off of that, truthfully. You just build off of that. Because mainly people who know him from, before AEW and everything that knows his potential, that wants the title shot. I feel as though, not really casuals, but people who are not familiar really what Swerve can do that isn't behind him just yet. I mean, people are loving the Prince Nana dance and stuff like that, but there isn't like a cry for him to win the title like it was with Heyman and Page, or for like Kenny Omega, or even MJF. And slightly for Ricky Starks too. Like we need a cry for Swerve to win the title. And I feels like that comes with him winning the international championship. He doesn't need to be face or anything like that. He could be exactly the way he is and just really be so good at what he does that people start to demand that he gets a title shot. And it'll be cool if at that time that is Samoa Joe who's champion. Because I think Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland going against each other, that fucking promo for promo, the promo for promo, especially I feel like it would be the way that Samoa Joe was with Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I need that with Swerve versus Samoa Joe. That promo for promo between them two is gonna be amazing. Tony Khan, if you're listening, please give me my credit if you decide to go with that. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I'm happy for Swerve. I cannot wait to see. Hopefully, he goes up from here, and then we don't. And that because the situation with him and Heyman and Page is done, that we don't know what to do with Swerve. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen. But like I said, Full Gear was a very good show. The Texas Death Match, definitely match of the night, maybe match of the year, truthfully. But I can't wait for Survivor Series. I can't wait for World's End and then Revolution or whatever they do after that, because they're trying to sneak in these monthly pay-per-views with AEW here. But that is it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Thank you so much for listening tonight. Thank you all for the past 4 years. It has been amazing. Like I said, this isn't the end of me. I will be on Twitter. I'll be on Instagram. Um, might start up the TikTok again. I don't know. I haven't really been active on TikTok, but you can follow me on Twitter at JDC137. You can also follow me on Instagram at JDC137 as well. You can continue following Wrestlebread podcast. I'll be retweeting a lot of the podcasts who are still around, so you can still follow the podcast at Wrestlebread as well. Just won't be any episodes of Wrestlebread. The YouTube channel will still be up. The social media will still be up and things like that. If you want to look back on things. But yeah, but I will be tweeting out, during Survivor Series and stuff like that. Maybe even maybe even do some TikToks of my reactions and stuff like that. But it's not the end of me. I will still be around and everything. I have a lot of podcast friends, La Familia, that you may see me appear on other podcasts, stuff like that. But just right now, I'm just gonna take it easy. But like I said, I still will be around. This isn't the last of me. I might even pop up with not really YouTube, but maybe I'll pop up live on TikTok or something like that, talking about it, or even on Twitch, and more likely might be on a Twitch. Much love, JD. Thank you so much, just in time. It was great sitting here chatting it up with you and everything like that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, Ivan, my queen, don't leave me tearing up. Why? Ivan, it's not the end. It's not the end. I will still be around. You better be around. We would love for you to come again on Circle Debate again. Of course. It's not the end of me. I'm not going to disappear off the face of the earth or anything like that. But thank you so much for introducing me to the League of the League of Legendary podcasts, okay, and just introduced me to a lot of amazing podcasters and stuff like that. Like I said, this isn't the end. That's the lead of extraordinary. I was trying to think of the adjective. League of Extraordinary, excuse me, not legendary, extraordinary podcast. Because met a lot of amazing people from there, of course, and it's just great talking to people who are passionate about wrestling and will watch wrestling in and out each week. We don't get paid for it. We just talking about wrestling because we like talking about wrestling. But yeah. But I'll still be around. Like I said, follow me on Twitter at JDC137. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitch too. If I do anything live, it might be on Twitch more likely from there. But it's just the end of Wrestlebread. It's not the end of me. You're still part. We will get together next month with all of them, so stay tuned. All right. I'm still in the Twitter groups and stuff like that, and the Facebook group that I'm into as well. So yeah, I'm not deleting the Wrestlebread social medias or anything. It'll still be up, so you can still follow me on Wrestlebread on Twitter mainly. Probably won't do too much on Wrestlebread's Instagram. It'll probably be under JDC's Instagram. Um, Instagram's a different place than Twitter. Twitter is easier to talk about wrestling than it is Instagram. I feel like Instagram is for like beauty stuff and everything, or I don't know, it's for more like stuff for photos. You need a photo in order to be on Instagram. It's easier to talk about wrestling on Twitter than it is on Instagram. But I'll still be on the Wrestlebread Twitter and everything. I'll just be the JDC will be more active than anything. So, but this is just the end of Wrestlebread. It's not the end of me. I'll still be around. But like I said, I'm happy with what Wrestlebread had gave me and everything. But I'll still be around. I'll still be around. I'll maybe on a watch along or two here and there. It's gonna be now. I wasn't asked for Survivor Series. I'll be out of town that weekend, and I'm coming home Saturday night. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll feel like being on camera or anything like that. I might just chill and just watch Survivor Series and then sit there and smash my keyboard every time Cody Rhodes do something. Remember, the doors are open in your family to me and everyone else. Of course, of course. Like I said, it's not the end of me. It's not the end of me. Just the end of Wrestlebread, right? It's just the end of Wrestlebread. But I'm happy of what it gave to me and everything like that. And, it's been an amazing past 4 years, and with everything that opened up with Wrestlebread. Like I said, the reason why I started Wrestlebread was to create a community of people who like to talk about wrestling, gave me a platform to talk about wrestling to people who like to talk about wrestling and everything like that, because I really didn't have people like that in my life outside the hubs. But the hubs don't watch wrestling every single week. It's mainly me telling him what happened. He was like I said earlier, he was a fan of he was a big fan during the Ruthless Aggression era. He wanted to be a wrestler, but he's not. He's more of an AEW fan than he is a WWE fan. But I don't have anybody really in my life that watches wrestling like weekly and keeps up with it. A toast to the final Wrestlebread and our queen Jaydee. Yes, toast to you all. It's my water bottle. I don't have any special drinks around, but yes, toast to an amazing 4 years with this podcast and the amazing amount of people that I met through Wrestlebread and everything like that, and until the next stages of everything. Yes, salute and a cheers to our queen of the coast, coast to coast, from east to west, and mainly the world, Craig, not just the city, the world of the world, Craig, not just the city of the world. But yes, toast to everyone out there. Um, if you want to start your podcast or anything like that, I say go ahead. Don't do it just for money. Do it to create a community, to be able to talk to other people, to mainly give a safe space for people, for grown folks like us, to really talk about wrestling. Because outside the Attitude Era, really, wrestling has been looked at as more for kids, more for men, and stuff like that. So I really wanted to create a community where it's okay for us old heads to talk about wrestling and cheer and stuff like that, because it's just as cool to cheer for wrestling and to cheer for Star Wars and a cheer for Star Wars and to cheer for Marvel as it is to be involved with Bridgerton and Love and Hip Hop, and for um well, I forgot the other example I was about to say, or for like any movie that's coming out. Like, it's cool to be a nerd. It's cool to be an adult and a nerd. It's cool to have fun playing video games, stuff like that. You know, um, not a goodbye, but see you around. Yes, Drunken Dragon. A see you around. I'm not completely walking away from the internet. It just won't be I just won't be on weekly on camera talking about wrestling, but I'll be smashing up the keyboard from time to time, stuff like that. And I'll be retweeting my podcast friends with their new episodes, like Circle the Bay, Just in Time, Floor Slapper Sports, KGB's podcast, and Cage My IQ and everything. I'll be retweeting whenever they release episodes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not a goodbye, like Drunken Dragon said. It's a see you around. Um, well, yeah, that's why I'm not sad about it or anything, because it's not the end of me or anything. It's a see you around type situation. But I just want to thank everyone for their support with Wrestlebread for this past 4 years and everything. Like I said, it's not the end of me or anything. It's just the end of Wrestlebread, and I'm walking away from it, feeling proud of what I did, feeling happy. Truthfully, I didn't expect Wrestlebread to last for this long. I didn't expect for it to last for 4 years, really, because I just wanted to just talk about wrestling, didn't expect for it to gain any traction or anything like that, and I saw, like, I was getting, like, viewers outside the US, which I thought was crazy, and then seeing, like, people really enjoying and respecting my opinions and everything, and it was a lot of fun, but yeah, but I just want to thank everybody for your support this past 4 years, and everything. And yeah, I'm I'm happy for everything that WrestleBread has brought to me and everything that has opened up to me because of WrestleBread. But like I said, it's not the end of me. It's the end of WrestleBread. And thank you so much, like I said, for your support and everything like that. And until next time, guys, peace.